college football fans, Hawkeye fans, welcome in or welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the channel created by the college football fan for the college football fan, the only channel where we examine, discuss, honor, and celebrate all things college football across the entire college football landscape. If you've been searching the wilderness and you've been lost in the quagmire of college football channels to find a gathering spot, a safe zone for all fans of college football, regardless of your team or program of fandom, welcome home. You found it in the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. This week I have left the comfort of Missouri and I am coming to you live from Savannah, Georgia. Wow, and what an absolute great city this is. The wife and I taking our usual fall anniversary vacation. I have absolutely fallen in love with this city. It's beautiful, it's historic. There's beautiful people everywhere, so friendly. The food, the sounds, the smells, everything. It's been an absolute awesome trip so far, and we still have 2.5 days left. That's even better. But I just want to thank you all for your continued time and support of the channel. The last 2 episodes have been uber successful thanks to you. I want to give a big shout out to all of the Buckeye fans who commented and watched the last 2 episodes here on the channel. See, without your support, none of this is possible. Remember, this is a hobby for me. It's something that I just do because it brings me such pleasure and joy to share my love for all things college football with you on the weekly. And what I've got on tap for you today is my Week 7 preview and picks episode coming right at you here really soon. But please, as I always say, hey, everything is going in the right direction for the channel, but I need your help to find more college football fans just like you. So please tell your friends, tell your family members, your fellow college football fanatics to check me out here on the channel. So please continue your support, like, share, rate, subscribe, click that notification button to get updates when future episodes are posted. And as always, I always welcome, encourage, and ask for your comments. I want your participation. So please get involved, exercise your college football right, use your voices and comment below, and I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later, individually via those comments. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. This week, usually on these preview and picks episodes, I have 3 segments. I usually will give you my underdogs, my ultimate underdogs for that week, the trap games for that week, and then I will go into my preview and picks. But because of time constraints, the wife and I have got a couple things planned for this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and skip right to my preview and picks segment today. If this is your first time with me here in the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, each and every week, this is what I do. I pick 13 games at random. Now, some of these games are the big on-the-radar games that all of you know about, and some are kind of the off-the-radar games. But each and every week of those 13 games, I always have 4 specialty games. I will always have an Academy game of the week. I will have the non-Power 5 matchup of the week. Anytime my Hawkeyes play, I will have an Iowa pick. And then I always have my spotlight game of the week. And there are 2 that could have taken that spot this week, but you're going to want to hold on and wait to see which one I selected as my spotlight game of the week. And definitely want to stick around to hear my opinion, my insight, and my picks to how I see these games playing out on the gridiron on Saturday. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? Please like, share, comment, rate, subscribe. Appreciate all you do, little Sammy Sosa style. There we go. My first game up. Big tilt in the SEC. South Carolina travels to number 7 Alabama. Alabama is a 21-point favorite at home inside the comforts of Bryant-Dennehy Stadium, coming off last week's big-time upset in Music City against Vandy. Alabama falls from number 1 to 7, which I kind of anticipated they would fall a little bit lower than that, with Vanderbilt being 4-2 overall, with one of those losses coming against Georgia State or Georgia Southern. I can't quite remember. But anyway, they're back at home. Are they able to get up off the mat? I think they absolutely will. 21 points is a big-time spread, but I think Alabama will cover. I think they're upset. They're going to be uber motivated and inspired to come out and put that bad loss to rest. They've been hearing about that all week in the media and the fans, yada, yada, yada. And I think someone has to pay for that big-time loss. And unfortunately, it's going to be the Gamecocks. Give me the Tide to roll big down in Tuscaloosa. Second game up, big tilt in the ACC. Number 10, Clemson travels to Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons, I mean, one of my favorite mascots in all the land. How can you not get behind a possessed clergyman? I absolutely love the Deacon mascot. Wake Forest find themselves a 20-point underdog at home. Clemson just keeps rolling along, taking care of business, looking like they're at least going to get to the ACC title game along with Miami, and I cannot wait for that potential matchup of those two heavyweights. Wake Forest coming off of a big-time comeback victory last week at NC State, left for dead. They came back in the fourth quarter, took the lead late, and got it done. Coach Dave Clawson continues to be one of the most unknown, underrated, underappreciated coaches in the nation. So how do I see this game going out? 20 points is a lot. I think Wake Forest will keep it under the spread. But right now, I just can't go against Clemson with how they are performing right now. They look to be next level with Miami. I don't think they're going to slow down. They're locked in. I'm taking the Tigers on the road, but I think it will be a very competitive game for at least one half of this contest. But give me Clemson in this one. Next one, my third game up, and it almost became my spotlight game of the week, but I had to give it to another big-time matchup. I'm talking about this year's edition of the Red River Rivalry, the first time these two opponents are official members of the SEC. I'm talking about number 1 Texas versus number 18 Oklahoma. They match up down in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma finds themselves a 14-point underdog in this year's edition of this rivalry game. I think this is going to be a very close game. All reports are saying that Quinn Ewers, the starting quarterback at season's beginning for Texas, is not going to play. Maybe there will be some sort of surprise 11th hour. Maybe he will play in Saturday's contest. We'll have to wait and see. Oklahoma defense is very stout. It is legitimate, but their offense still seems to not be getting a lot of traction, and at times really seems to be just offensive, their offense. So in this case, Arch Manning coming along very well, looking like he's developing game by game. I just think Texas has too much proven talent and depth and coaching. Everything, I believe, favors Texas in this matchup. I think it'll be maybe a 10-point game, but I'm taking the Longhorns in this year's matchup of the Red River Rivalry. Give me Bevo in those boys. Next game up. Big tilt in the Big Ten. Huge. Number 4 Penn State travels cross country to take on USC. USC finds themselves a 5-point underdog at home in the Coliseum. And USC's coming off last week's very, very big letdown upset up in the Twin Cities against Goldie and the Golden Gophers, with PJ Fleck rowing that boat. USC in this game, they've got their backs against the wall. This is a must-win game for USC. Penn State, I think this will be their most difficult road test of the entire season. Now, going cross country, when you look at what's transpired in the Big Ten Conference, and only in this conference alone, because of the conference realignment, we have some of these teams and conferences, the Big Ten and the ACC primarily, having to cross numerous time zones, 2, 3, some of them even 3 time zones. I believe as of right now, I think the Big Ten teams are 1-8 as far as when they have to cross 2 time zones or more. Penn State, I think, is more talented than USC. I think they're more of a complete ball team. But inside the Coliseum, Lincoln Riley, I mean, he still is a professor. He's like the salt buy when it comes to offense. I think he's going to get something cooking for Penn State and those boys. I'm going with the trend here. I think it ends up being 1-9. USC goes on the road, or Penn State goes on the road, excuse me. I do my own stunts here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. No edits, no retakes. So Penn State goes on the road. They fall on the West Coast with the Hollywood sign in the background. I like USC to spring the big upset this week. Give me the men of Troy and Traveler to get it done. Next game up, big one in the Big 12. Arizona, they leave the desert from Tucson, travel to Elevation to Provo to take on number 14 BYU. The Cougars find themselves ranked, undefeated, and also a 3.5-point favorite at home. Really kind of a surprise season to this point for BYU. I thought they would struggle out of the gate in the entire season, but so far they are proving me wrong. Arizona's coming off a big win a couple weeks ago against Utah. I think this is going to be a close game, but right now it's hard for me to pick against BYU. I'm taking the Cougars at home up in Provo to get it done over the Wildcats. Give me the Mormons in this matchup. Next game up, big one in the SEC. Florida, they leave the swamp. They travel to number 8 Tennessee to take on the Volunteers on Old Rocky Top. Tennessee finds themselves a 14.5-point favorite. Last week, Tennessee lost down in Fayetteville, another one of those big-time upsets last week at the hands of the Razorbacks. So they fall in the rankings from 4 to 8. Do they get right this week? Florida is definitely playing better football. Big win, well, really a must-needed win last week against in-state rival UCF at home. Florida, I think, is playing better. They're going to make this a better ball game than we think, but I think Tennessee gets right. And just like Alabama versus South Carolina this week, Tennessee is going to come out big-time motivated and inspired. They have to make somebody pay up for last week's upset. It's going to be the Gators. I like Tennessee big in this matchup. Give me the Volunteers and Old Smoky. Next game up, another big tilt in the SEC. Really so much to play for in this ball game. I'm talking about number 9 Ole Miss. The Lane Train is traveling to Baton Rouge to take on number 13 LSU. LSU at home finds themselves a 3.5-point underdog, which that's something we are not accustomed to seeing, and we don't see it very often at all. Both of these teams need a victory to stay in contention, not just in the SEC, but for playoff at-large berths, especially Ole Miss coming off a loss early this season, just like LSU against USC. So this is a must-win game for both squads. Who do I like? I think Ole Miss is more talented, but there's just something, to me, lacking about the physicality of this squad. I just don't think they're ready physically to contend in the trenches. I think they will be able to win a lot of games simply by outscoring some of their opponents, but we all know that going into Death Valley, and I believe this is a primetime game as well, going into Baton Rouge at night is a totally different animal. I like LSU at home. Nussmeier, their quarterback, one of the best in the nation. I think they pull the upset, even though to me it would not be really an upset being at home. But I'm taking Mike and the Tigers to get it done at home. Give me LSU in this big ball game. Next game up, big one. And this time of year, every game is a big one. So I know I keep saying that, but we're into October football now. This is where this is where legends and teams are made, right? But a big one in the Big 12, number 11, Iowa State, the undefeated Iowa State Cyclones, who continue to be kind of fly under the radar. A lot of people really aren't talking about them, but I told you, I predicted in preseason in my bold predictions episode, Iowa State would win the Big 12. A lot of you didn't believe me. But number 11, Iowa State travels to Morgantown to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. West VA finds themselves a 3-point underdog. West Virginia went to Stillwater last week and absolutely destroyed the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. I think this is going to be the toughest test in conference for road games anyway for Iowa State. Going to be a big ball game, and I cannot wait to watch this one. I hope I'm able to catch some of it because we will be here Saturday. We've got some great things planned, but I like Iowa State on the road. Nothing is taking me away from believing Iowa State is going to win the Big 12. I like the Cyclones. I think one of the most balanced teams in all the nation. They're top 5 in returning production on both sides of the ball. Give me the Cyclones to really escape in a very, very close game against West Virginia. Give me the Clones over the Mountaineers. Go Iowa State. I know Iowa fans, some of you are, just puked in your mouth or vomited in your mouths. I'm sorry, but Iowa State is good. They just are. All right, last game up before I get to my specialty games of the week. Another big one in the Big 12. Number 18, Kansas State. The Wildcats travel to Boulder to take on Deion. Now, yes, I know it's Colorado, it's the Buffaloes, but to me, it's Deion because that's what this team is. They take on Deion and the Buffaloes. Colorado finds themselves a 3.5-point underdog at home inside Folsom. Now, I will admit this. Colorado has been a very, very good surprise team this early season. They're 4-1. I did not expect them to be at this point. I did say I don't believe that they will get bowl eligible, but they're off to a great start. They only need 2 more victories in conference play to make that happen. But Kansas State, they're not going to beat themselves. You know that Coach Klein and those boys from Manhattan are going to play good ball. I know it's Coach Kleinman, but I always like the water boy, Coach Klein. So Coach Kleinman and those boys will get it done. They're going to play disciplined football. They'll take their chances, and I think they'll just wear down Colorado. I think they've got too much for them. I'm taking the purple. Give me the Wildcats in this matchup over Coach Deion and those boys in Colorado. All right, so my next 4, I got my 4 specialty picks of the week coming up. Please like, share, comment below, rate, subscribe. I can't wait to hear from you. All my college football brothers and sisters, thank you for all that you do. Please comment below. And just to let you know, I forgot to start off the episode this way. Last week, yours truly went 8-5, which could have been better, but could have been way worse with picks based on all of the upsets we had. I mean, last week, the college football world was turned upside down, basically. So I did go 8-5 last week. On the season, I currently sit 32-20, good for 62% correct. And my goal that I set for myself at the end of the regular season, I'd like to be 75% or better. So I'm getting there, but I've got a lot of work to do. All right, so please let me know what you think about my picks, my insight, my opinion, the facts. Let me know what you think about them. All right, so now let's move into my 4 specialty games of week 7. And I always like to start with the Academy game of the week. This is my way to salute and give thanks to all of the military personnel, past and present, of this great nation. So I always will include this game will either have Army, Navy, or Air Force in it. And this week, I'm looking at West Point. UAB, the Blazers, travel to upstate New York to take on the Army Black Knights. Army, absolutely one of the great stories so far in this season of college football. They currently sit undefeated, as does their brethren Navy. It's a great story. I mean, get them ranked. How one, if not both of these teams, are not in the AP poll, I don't get it. We got to get these boys ranked. Army is a big 26.5 point favorite at home against visiting UAB. That's a big number. But the way that they're playing, Coach Monken's got them firing on all cylinders. I think they win big. Maybe don't cover that big number, but still I think Army is able to cruise to victory and stay undefeated, and I expect them to be ranked next week in the AP polls. So give me the Cadets up in West Point to get it done this week. Next is my non-Power 5 matchup of the week, and this one was kind of a tough one, but I had to give props after their big upset last week. I chose Southern Miss. The Eagles travel to ULM to take on Louisiana Monroe. Last week, ULM knocked off previously undefeated James Madison, the Dukes, who keep playing just great football. So I wanted to go ahead and give a little bit of a tip to the cat to ULM. So that's why I picked them this week. I think they keep that momentum. Southern Miss struggling this year. I believe ULM to get it done. Give me, I believe they are the Warhawks, I believe, of ULM. If not, please correct me, asking for that below. So give me ULM at home over visiting Southern Miss, the Eagles. All right, my Hawkeye pick of the week, since Iowa is in action. Finally, here we are mid-October, and Iowa is finally having their home Big Ten opener. I mean, this is something that we're just not used to seeing. Iowa hosts visiting Washington, the Huskies, last week off of that big upset win in the Pacific Northwest against Michigan in a rematch of last year's national title game. They get revenge over mighty Michigan, and they come to Iowa City with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum. Iowa finds themselves only a 2.5 point favorite. So basically, this is a toss-up game inside Kinnick Stadium. Iowa got completely embarrassed last weekend against Ohio State in Columbus inside the Horseshoe. Now, I did pick Ohio State to win last week, but I definitely thought it would be a little more of a competitive matchup and ball game. But I'm really right now, this gives me a little bit of pause for this Iowa squad. There is a great opportunity for them to still get to 9 or 10 victories this season based on their schedule. But I believe that this is the most important swing game now of the year for the Hawkeyes. Their vertical passing game, quarterback consistency, their defensive secondary, their defensive line, just not creating a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. There's a lot of things to fix at this point in the season that I did not anticipate for Iowa, and it does give me cause to kind of just pause and think about it. So I am very hesitant about this game, but I still think at home with that crowd, Iowa's going to have a big bounce back game. I think the physicality is where the game will be won, the battle inside the trenches. Washington definitely has better athletes on offense than Iowa does. Quarterback Will Rogers is an absolute stud. He's a gunslinger. I've loved him since I first saw him at Mississippi State under the coach Pirate himself, Mike Leach. Rest in peace. But I just think Iowa's physicality and the home team will will them to victory. So I like Iowa in this matchup, but not as much as I did coming into this season. So I think they cover, but I think this is going to end up being like a 7-point Iowa victory. So very close, but give me the home team. Go Hawks in this matchup. Now we've reached my spotlight game of the week. In a close second, actually in a distant second, was the Red River rivalry this year between Texas and Oklahoma. Because this week's spotlight game, not only do I believe it's the biggest game this year in the Big Ten, but it is to date, and I think it will be one of, if not the biggest game of the entire season. I'm talking about this week's top 3 matchup. Number 2, Ohio State travels to number 3, Oregon, up there in Autzen Stadium in Eugene. What a matchup here we've got. And I get it. Some of you traditionalists who believe that the game between Michigan and Ohio State will always be the Big Ten game of the year. Yes, it's a rite of passage. I love watching it. It's must-see TV. But this will be the game of the year in the Big Ten. Oregon finds themselves, surprisingly, a 3-point underdog at home. How do I see this game playing out? Well, I'm a little torn on this game because I love the support that all the Ohio State fans showed last week in my last 2 episodes. And I will tell you this. Preseason, in my bold predictions episode, I picked both Ohio State and Oregon to advance and make the college football playoff. And I also said that there was not going to be a single Power 4 team that was going to go undefeated this season due to the unbalanced scheduling, the disbursement of talent because of the transfer portal and NIL. And I think I just have to stick by that. And I believe that this would be Ohio State's only regular season loss of the year. I think Oregon will get one later on. I've got to stick with what I think. And Oregon, I think, is a better team at home. I think they will get it done in this matchup, but I do believe, and I predicted preseason, I think Ohio State will return the favor in the Big Ten title game. I can't wait to watch this matchup. Ohio State looks to be like one of the most talented, most complete, balanced teams in the nation, but I just think Oregon's going to find a way to get it done. So, based on my predictions, nothing personal, Buckeye fans, I'm just taking Oregon in this matchup. But trust me, we all know it's not going to be a bad loss if it happens. And the same thing for Oregon, if you lose this game, you still have everything in front of you to play for. You still absolutely have a boxer's chance, a great opportunity to still make the college football playoff. So don't hang your hats if this happens to not go your way. So I'm taking Oregon in this matchup because of what I predicted. And yours truly also predicted Oregon to win the national title. I'm sticking with that bet, that prediction for now, but it could change later. So that's it. That's my Week 7 preview and picks episode. Thank you for your continued time, your support, your attention. It means the world to me. Thank you for all that you have done and all you will do for the channel. Please like, share, rate, subscribe. Smash that notification button, comment, get involved. I can't wait to hear from you. Give me your hot takes. What do you think about my picks this week and my previews? Is there something that I missed? Something that maybe I got incorrect? Hey, I've got no pride issues left. My wife has done her job very well. So let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with how I see things playing out? Just be respectful, be an adult, and I'll be more than happy to hear from you and get back to you as soon as I can. So until next week, I may or may not have a reaction episode to the Iowa-Washington game. That probably won't be out until Sunday evening after I get a chance to watch the game in its entirety. So that may or may not be out this weekend, but definitely expect me back next week. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe, be responsible, enjoy the rest of your work week or school week. And I'll be talking to you soon on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.